I'm Sharon Barnes-Waters, and welcome to CityViews, the show about people, places, and things that make New York great. It was the spring of 1980, and the crime wave was really high in New York. A teenager was murdered in the Flatbush Avenue section of Brooklyn, and another teenager by the name of Colin Warner was wrongfully accused and convicted of this murder. But his friend, Carl King, was determined to see that his friend would get out of jail because he knew that he was wrongly accused. Well, guess what? This true life story is playing out before our eyes on the big screen, and it's in a movie called Crown Heights, and it'll be in the theaters near you on August the 25th. I am so pleased and happy to have the real life subjects of Crown Heights with me today on CityViews. I want to welcome Colin Warner and Carl King. Welcome, gentlemen.
Morning.
When I saw this movie, I went, wow. As someone who's lived in Crown Heights, I've seen and I know a lot of what's happened. But Colin, before I get into what happened on that particular day, can you tell me about this friendship? How did this friendship form?
Friendships formed in Trinidad. We were basically living in the same community, attended elementary school together, and Mr. King came to America 3 to 4 years prior to me. Mm-hmm. I came here in 1978. I met up with Carl King a couple of months after I came to America, which was very fortunate because I knew nobody in America.
Wow.
So from 1980 till now, this
You've been together.
brethren, this in our family, call him our angel.
Wow.
Has been in our life.
Well, you had to have a special bond because of the things that happened afterwards. Now, take me to that day. Why were you arrested? I know there was a lot of crime going on in the city at that time. Why did the police take you? Why were you convicted of this murder of a teenager?
To this day, 37 years later, I can give you an accurate answer on why I was arrested. Put it simply, because the color of my skin. Right? A black youth got murdered and a black youth got sent to prison for life. So in the context of the mindset, everything is on even balance now. There wasn't an effort to determine the truth.
By who?
By the forces who are in place to find this truth.
Oh, but we want to be specific.
Police,
what are we talking about?
Police, investigators, DA's investigators, everybody.
Was it we just wanted to solve, there's a lot of murders going on. We just want to solve it quickly?
The mindset is that we are not worthy. So anything in our community, we are subject to. I, Colin Warner, could have been any young black man living in America, in Brooklyn, on April 10, 1980. That is how fickle the system is. No. It wasn't about finding out the truth.
It was about solving the case?
No, it wasn't about solving the case. It was a point of just putting everything in a box, but it does not matter if the item that's in the box is supposed to be in the box.
Okay.
Right? And again, is the non-sensitivity, non-caring of people who are placed in the system to protect people like me.
Well, Carl, when you heard that Colin had been arrested, did you doubt or did you say he could have, he couldn't have, or did you right away say, no, this didn't happen?
Well, I heard it the following day. Two of my friends were with Colin the time when he was supposed to be committing the crime. So they actually give statements to the police saying that the time the murder was supposed to be being committed, they were with him. So actually, they were supposed to be his co-defendants.
Okay.
And they never arrested them. So it was like murder. You know what I mean?
So you knew, right? So then you absolutely knew.
Right. I was not there, but two of my friends was actually there at the particular time that they said he committed the murder. So it was like a big escalation that he killed somebody, you know, in the Flatbush area. And at that time, we live in Crown Heights. So we didn't frequent Flatbush too much. We would probably just ride through with our bikes or whatever. But we weren't really settled, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they said that he killed a Jamaican guy in Flatbush. And the name of the guy they mentioned, we never heard of him. So I thought it was a big mistake make. And you know what? He's going to get clear. Somebody going to find out that this was a mistake.
You figured that the truth had to come out before he actually went to jail. One of the things I found fascinating when I watched this movie was, and I read up on it, was that the person who actually committed the crime went on trial too.
Oh, yeah.
And he knew he did it. You knew you didn't do it. But you both ended up in jail, and he even ended up getting out before you. Now, people in jail say, I'm innocent. But what does it truly mean to know that you are innocent and in jail? What does it do to the mind? What does it do to the heart? What does it do to the soul?
It tears you down. And if you're not careful, you literally become non-existent. And this is where Mr. Carl King comes in, because he literally breathed life into me. Okay. He was my connection to the outside free world that I didn't have.
Okay.
He saved me, literally.
Because I know that when you got in, you kind of bucked the system.
Yeah.
You were because you knew you were innocent, and you were thrown in solitary confinement and all of that for the first few years because you were like, no.
Yeah, well, my naivety reached the level like, I know I'm innocent. So even though I'm found guilty, I still believe in my mind that the prison guards wasn't supposed to treat me as a murderer. But it took me years to realize, listen, I'm not different from the next person next to me, right? And we are all bunched into one. Myself included is into that one. So it's a time of introspection and trying to find out where do I belong in this system. Because I'm not even though I'm there,
but you're not.
I don't want to be a part of it.
Because when you came up to your parole on the 15th, you refused to say that you killed him.
Right.
So you couldn't be paroled because they wanted you to confess.
Right.
And you said no. You'll stay in jail.
A lot of people, I didn't tell them I was going to stay in jail then. The first time in 2015. Right? 2015, it was just about, you killed this guy. And every time, if you read my parole minutes, every time they made that statement that I committed murder, I stopped them. No, yeah. I didn't kill anybody.
And Carl, how did you keep him encouraged? How? Because I know you went in and you would always visit, and you felt that you guys should be walking in the same direction. He's gone behind bars, you're gone out.
Well, at that time he got sentenced. I mean, we were young. I probably was about 20 years, 19. So at that time, we were thinking that he has a next shot with an appeal, because when you get convicted, there's a chance of appeal from the appellate division. Didn't have any knowledge about that anyway, but we know that he had a shot at another appeal. So that appeal, after he got convicted, took 6 years to get an answer. At that time, I started maturing more, but supporting him in every way of staying listening, stay strong, visiting him and so forth. So within that time, he got the answer. We realized that we can't depend on the system.
Yeah, because you just go after. You're like a dog with a bone. You're not letting it go. you really pursued this case and tried to find every means to get his conviction overturned or get him freed. What drove you to do? I mean, I have friends, but then you have friends, but then you have friends when you're in this kind of crisis. What drove you to go to the nth of the
Well,
earth?
it's so much of a easy question, but so hard to answer, because it was like a natural thing. I see a situation, a friend of mine or whatever, and I think that, I'm going to be my brother keeper regardless of what. I know it's a wrong thing happened. So we got a group of people in the community, and including his wife.
Yeah, we saw how that
became his wife.
Became his wife during this
and
whole
we all
thing.
joined together and started a fight, and made that promise never to give up, because if we give up on Colin, it was like giving up on ourselves, and I wasn't about to give up on myself. And Colin I felt that he was
Right.
part of me anyway.
And I do have to ask you this, Carl, because the celebrity civil rights attorney, William Kunstler, before he died, he played a little role in this, and he wasn't what you thought he would be.
Wow.
Can you tell me a little bit? Because everybody has an image of people.
Well,
this is kind of dispelled
when he was
a little bit.
retained, initially we had another attorney, and he told us, well, there's a big bad wolf by the name of such and such. So we retained Mr. Kunstler, heard about him as a civil rights attorney.
Yes.
So the day we had the hearing, it was federal court downtown Brooklyn. Mr. Kunstler turned and looked at me like, asking me, certain things about the crime, how it happened.
Like he's supposed to know that already.
He didn't know
Yeah.
anything, and I couldn't believe that, because I'm telling myself it's serious battle,
Mm-hmm.
We going in there, and and he's all joking around with the DA. At that time, I'm thinking, that's the adversary. You're not supposed to even say hello. And then furthermore, he didn't know anything about the case, the particulars. So how are you going to argue? So after that, we came out of court, and it's like hard luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In other words, what you're going to do, you're going to take me to the bar,
Right.
so.
That was a little shocking thing that I heard in this movie. I was like,
Oh,
oh.
yeah.
I mean, as far as him, because again, we're getting now a different side to who he is.
But you have to understand, he was on the out.
Yeah.
He was
So
the elder man.
his passion probably wasn't there, and he just took our money.
Just took the money and just,
And listen, man, they have been taking our money for 21 years.
wow. And then you met someone who you were, because you got somewhat in the legal
Yeah,
system
well,
where you
I got
could
into
meet
doing
lawyers.
the process serving
Process
with the
serving.
intention of understanding the court system a little more. Because at that time, money was exhausted, and we realized that we're going to do this thing.
Yeah, because I'm going to
our
interject
way.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I saw how much this affected your family.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
went all out.
It did take a toll.
It took a toll on
Yeah,
you. We
yeah.
saw that. That's how committed you were.
Yeah.
And then you found this lawyer because you're a legal process.
Right. Well, that was my intention initially, because at that time we started reviewing the files, and we knew, we had an idea the way how we're going to go about this is not by this technical stuff, but we're going to do this thing from day one, reinvestigate this case. And it was a blessing with the attorney, William Roberty, He actually had a heart, and, came together, and this is the product here.
So after 21 years behind bars, you are freed. What does that feel like? To really prove that you had the actual person who committed the crime, the brother of the person who was murdered, witnesses that then came and said the bro's innocent. How does it feel after 20? It's not, I think he did it, but to be exonerated completely for that crime. How does that feel?
I didn't feel as ecstatic as I thought I would have felt. Right? My release from prison happened like this. I knew the night before that I was going to get released. Without any major legal battle in court. Because usually, if you're going to file an appeal, wanting your conviction and your sentence overturned, there's a process. File papers,
Right.
go back down to the original court, judge or new judge if he's not there, and they do the battle in the courtroom. That didn't happen to me. Mr. King filed papers,
And it was done
and
like that.
I was supposed to have a court appearance in March, so that is my new short-term goal, to get to March. Meanwhile, before I get to March, I was supposed to go to my 4th parole board hearing in February. Right, and this time I have the family write letters to me saying, listen, they know now that I didn't kill the son and the brother.
Right.
So all this is going on, but nothing about coming out of prison. You understand what I'm saying? Until the night before, my wife told me, listen, I'm coming to Fishkill to come get you. I'm saying, what?
Yeah, a shock. A shock.
Total. Listen, that's in 21 years, that's the first night I didn't sleep in prison.
Wow, wow. And I have to ask the both of you now, what do you teach your children about the judicial system, institutional racism? How do you now approach that with your own children? What do you say?
I will start answer that by saying first, I teach my children not to lie. One of my favorite reggae artists, Chronic, he sing a song, if you're a liar, you're a thief and you're a murderer. And I believe that is true. So my first instructions to my kids, don't tell a lie. This is what happened to your daddy when a lie is being told. And we just build from there. Right? I'm not taking giant steps because these are kids.
Right, right.
Right?
But you instill something in them.
I try to.
You try to.
I uniquely give my kids what I have.
Right.
Right? My firstborn son, firstborn child, Sheikh Sharif Roderick Warner, who his name was given to him 10 years before he was born. 10 years before I knew I could have children, was allowed to have children. Again, that is the feat of things unseen, but
Right.
I had him for 13 and a half years. Right? He died
Oh, I'm so sorry.
July the 4th, 2015 in a swimming pool. So again, life is struggle upon struggle upon struggle, because at one time I believe 21 years doing in prison would have been the hardest struggle I would have faced in my life.
Son.
Didn't realize I didn't go around the corner yet.
Right, right.
So again, this whole my whole life is an example to other people's. You look at it and you make a decision what is right for you.
Right,
Because what is right for you may not be right for me.
exactly.
Right? But it's simple. It was a tragic situation.
Right.
Because at one time I didn't have no history beyond my getting arrested or before my getting arrested. My whole history started at the time I was arrested.
Right.
So at night when guys on the gate telling war stories,
You
I don't have a
that.
war story.
You don't have that.
I don't have none.
But
Right.
now it's being shown to everybody.
And
And
this is a blessing for me, and I guess for the people too. Because people need to know. We know, but we always put it in a context. Oh, I saw him on TV, I read him in a book, but
this is real.
the direct
The
contact.
contact, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
even when I come in here, people know the story, they look at me like I'm strange. And I say, listen, pinch me.
This happened, and you
I'm
survived
real,
it all.
right?
Yeah.
And they have
You
to
survived it.
understand that this stuff happens.
It does happen, and I want to go to Carl.
Still
And
is happening.
what do you tell your family?
Well,
Because you're now
they grew up here.
you're defending people who are
My
innocent
kids,
still.
they grew up knowing about the story.
Right.
Visiting Colin in jail. And I have 2 daughters and a son. Both daughters are in law enforcement. They say they want to make a difference.
Make a difference,
So
yeah.
I think they took that route.
To prove that there
Yeah,
are
being
good
that what
people
was
on every
happening,
side.
right. And they would like to make a difference.
And, you know, the one thing, you know, as we're closing, the one thing that really struck me at the very end of the movie was when it said, if you had gotten arrested in Florida or Texas, you would have been dead.
Yeah.
Dead men tell no tales, and we can only say, I'm sorry, we proved you innocent, but we didn't have the death penalty given to you. So if it had been in Texas or Florida, you would have been dead. So we're grateful that after 21 years, even though it was a difficult thing, you're alive now to tell the story and tell people this is what happens. You know, these things do happen as we love our country, but there are things that also happen and that we have to address and we have to talk about. So
One thing I would like to end with, I think these situations going to keep on occurring if there's no consequences by the people who plays the part.
Right.
For instance, the police department and the district attorney office. If they keep on doing these things, and we are seeing where people are being exonerated because newly evidence comes up with one cop is like having one witness testifying in 6 cases, and people are actually getting exonerated, and there's no consequences for the people who actually play the part. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to keep on reoccurring, and it's still happening today.
Well, this is definitely.
I mean, this is the age of social media where you have Facebook,
Right.
and you are seeing where a guy is being choked, and they telling you what you see is not what happened. So I don't know, from 1980 with Colin times to now, how did it get better?
We're still in discussion. We're still still talking. We're still in every community. Now it's more than Crown Heights. It's all around. So I again just want to thank you both for allowing them to put your story up there. And this true it's I keep saying it's not a documentary, but it's a story that is true. And thank you for stopping by CityViews to tell us a little bit about your life story. And again, to our audience, this movie called Crown Heights will be in theaters August 18th, and then spreads more nationwide.
Right.
Nationwide is August the 25th. But it's something to look at. It's going to be a discussion in your household too. I want to thank you again, Colin. I want to thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
By CityViews.
Thank you again.
Thank you.